Can you enjoy staring at a wall for 3 hours? That's what I asked myself in the morning, and here I am staring at a wall with a timer set for 3 hours. I thought it would actually be kind of easy because I'm really good at just like enjoying whatever I'm doing, but it was way harder than I thought it would be. The first 30 minutes was actually not too bad. Basically, I thought to myself, what kind of idiot would stare at a wall for 3 hours and think that's actually a good idea? It's sort of like I find it kind of funny just to think things sort of like that. And then yeah, that carried me through the first 30 minutes pretty easily, just self-deprecating humor. After the first 30 minutes, I met my first challenge. I started to get really tired. I spent probably half an hour just being really tired, and I tried not to resist it too much because I know that's not going to allow me to enjoy myself, which was pretty difficult at that time. But I actually found a solution to the problem. It took me a while, but I figured out that I don't actually have to be tired. What I did was I purposely got really angry at the fact that I was tired. Basically, I would tense up my core, clench my fists, and in my mind, I would tell myself, I'm really angry at the fact that I'm tired. I'd just let that anger course through my body for maybe 30 seconds and then I'd stop. And after a couple of minutes, it felt like the tiredness just completely dissipated and I was left with energy and a clear mind. I'd say learning this probably was worth the 3 hours of sitting and staring at a wall, because it seems really useful to be able to just not be tired. It really reminds me of using the dark side of the Force, like in Star Wars, where they use anger as power. I remember staring at the wall and noticing there was dots, and it sort of looked like faces if I blurred my eyes, so I sort of used that to entertain myself for a little while. But after a while, I actually started feeling really emotionally uncomfortable. I felt sort of like I remember I did when I was a toddler and I was throwing a temper tantrum. That was pretty much the exact same emotion that I was feeling about halfway through, maybe an hour and a half in. I was actually considering giving up. I thought, oh, maybe an hour and a half is long enough. 3 hours, maybe I don't need to do 3 hours. But then I wondered, why am I even staring at this wall? Like most people, when they do things that they don't like to do, they get some sort of benefit out of it, but I'm not really even getting much of a benefit. Then it came to me. I'm staring at this wall because in the morning I was curious to know what it would be like to stare at a wall for 3 hours. It's only been an hour and a half. If I quit now, I'll never know what it's like to sit and stare at a wall for 3 hours. I'd like to see what kind of emotion it would take to keep me from staring at this wall and finding out what it's like to stare at a wall for 3 hours. I gave myself this sort of pep talk, and it totally worked. I was filled with confidence and energy, and I was totally ready to keep staring at the wall for another hour and a half. That was a great moment. At that point, I was past the hardest part. I was actually starting to enjoy myself, even though my body was actually in a lot of pain. So my knees were hurting, my back was hurting. Emotionally, I didn't actually feel that great, but I was still able to enjoy myself because I knew why I was sitting, and I decided that I was going to do it. Near the end of the sit, it came full circle. I remembered at the start of the sit, I was wondering what kind of idiot would sit in front of a wall and stare at it for 3 hours. I burst out laughing with this thought because finally I knew what it's like to sit for 3 hours.